Another small dose of Miss Denise for you this morning. Yeah, she's wonderful. So are you familiar with a book called The Big Leap? Anybody heard of that? The Big Leap. Yeah, it was written by Gay Hendricks several years ago, and it's about breaking through our upper limits. What are the upper limits? Breaking through the upper limits. You may be asking, what are upper limits? We're unlimited, right? We know that. We're unlimited. Well, upper limits are the limitations that we put on ourselves through our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, our perception of what life is and what we can receive. It's literally how much good we can accept, allow ourselves to receive, to experience. And I use the word allow, how much we allow ourselves to receive. And it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? I don't know about you, but I am open to receive. Yes. All the good, all the time. Yes, absolutely. But the question I have to always ask myself, is my want in alignment with my beliefs? Is my want in alignment with my beliefs? Or is there a disconnect there? Today we're continuing our series this month called Living in Thanksgiving. And my talk is the Banquet Table of Life. The Banquet Table of Life. And we're going to be exploring, what is this banquet table? What might some of our upper limits be? And how can we become receiving centers to life's abundance? Well, we'll start with something we know and I hope agree on, that we live in a universal spiritual system. That is, spiritual laws, just like physical laws here on earth, that there's a spiritual law system as well that we live within. And the operating system is based on giving. It's based on giving. Everything is sort of set up in this perfect circular motion of circulation and everything. And then the universe spirit is just always giving to that. And then we get to receive as we believe. That's part of our basic teaching. And that's the idea of what we allow ourselves to experience. So it's the givingness of God to and through us. And if we look around, we can really see this all around us. Now, here in Arizona, we know a lot about the sun, don't we? Yeah, we're pretty familiar with the sun. So I'm going to use that as an example. If you think about the sun, it's perfectly placed exactly where it needs to be to shine its light to support this thing called photosynthesis. Remember that from biology way back when? Yeah, the photosynthesis process for plants and trees to be self-sufficient in creating their own food. It's a pretty cool system. And plants give off oxygen and they take in carbon dioxide. Animals give off carbon dioxide and take in oxygen. Is that the coolest thing? Again, it's that idea of circulation, right? It's a pretty cool system when you think about it. And what about our solar system? Our planet tilts and rotates and revolves and does all this cool stuff. And it makes it seem like the stars and everything are always moving around. But in effect, that's like a blanket over us, and we're the ones that are moving. We're the ones that are always moving around. And then the moon. The moon. Did you stay up on, or get up maybe? I got up on Friday morning early, yeah, to see that lunar eclipse, the one that won't be around for another 500 years. This is my little photo. I actually got up and leaned out the door and took my picture. That was it. Yeah, 500 years. The interesting thing about the moon is that it moves very slowly. It takes about 27 days for it to completely rotate once. The Earth, on the other hand, takes a little breezy 24 hours. Makes your head spin. Like, we're moving so fast, oh my gosh, compared to the moon. So when we really pause and look at this amazing universal system that we live in, It creates a sense of awe and wonder, doesn't it? And those are just a couple of examples. I have to admit, and I will admit this, that I had to fact check myself on all that information I just gave you. It has been a long time since I studied those things of photosynthesis and the planets and the solar system and so forth and so on. So what did I do? I went to the World Wide Web. I went to Google and I searched it, and I just searched up everything. And I was once again in awe and wonder of that connection that we have with so much information, so much knowledge at our fingertips. I was in class this week. We were teaching a class and I needed to look up a word, and I just grabbed my phone. No need to pull out the big fat dictionary anymore. No need to carry the thesaurus around with us anymore. It's all at our fingertips. Amazing, isn't it? Awe, wonder, and the miracle that we live in every single day. When we can pause and become still, we can experience a sense of wonder. And I think it does take us pausing and becoming still to appreciate, just like my having to fact check myself on the miraculous photosynthesis process and the solar system. I had to pause because it was information I hadn't been using on a regular basis since probably, 6th grade, 10th grade. So pause and notice the awe and the wonder in your life. This awe and this wonder is only a small piece of this banquet table of life that we're talking about today. Just a small sliver of it that is available to us. It's the divine givingness of God to us, and through each other. And I am so grateful that I live in a universe that has been created from such infinite love and that is consistently giving to me, through me, and through each of you to me, because Spirit circulates our good through each of us to each of us as well. It's another beautiful thing in that system. Ernest Holmes, of course, is the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living. He's also the author of The Science of Mind. It's a philosophy that we teach from here. And he says our mental attitude towards the divine givingness should be simple and direct. We are to accept the gift. We are to look forward to it with anticipation and with enthusiastic attention. We are to maintain an inner joy. And why not? If we realize that divine givingness is the gift of a perfect law of liberty, and the divine will is the outpouring of the Spirit into self-expression through us. Let us then be grateful receivers and receive the gift. Receive the gift. So is it really that easy? Is it really that simple? Yes. And there's always an and. I don't use but anymore. There's an and. We each have the ability to set these upper limits because we're individualized and unique expressions of the divine. So we get to say how much is enough. We get to say when to stop. We get to choose whether it's lima beans or broccoli on the banquet table, right? We get to choose. Have you ever heard the phrase, arguing for your limitations? If you've been around New Thought for a while, you may have heard that somewhere in our centers, and it basically means that we're describing why we can't have something. Yeah, but, there's a yeah, but. Those are our upper limits. And they can affect all areas of our lives, our relationships, our health, our careers, our finances, our spirituality even. And it's usually caused by something that's happened in our past, something that we have believed to be true, something that may be universal knowledge that's out there, something that may have been communicated through science or through the media, something that we accept as that's true, and we believe it without question. Things like, I can't have that job. I couldn't have that type of job. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the connections. I don't have the background. Therefore, I'll never have enough money and I'll always struggle financially. I just don't have enough. What thought of unworthiness is creating an upper limit in our lives? My parents, fill in the blank, did this, didn't do that. Well, they have these health issues, so I'm going to have those health issues. It's just a given. Or maybe it's wealth or intelligence or some other thing, some other familial thing that we're allowing to create an upper limit for us. And yet, how many stories do we know of people who have transcended that familial history? All men, all women, fill in the blank, right? Fill in the blank. What are your beliefs around love and relationships? What is the upper limit in your belief around creating a loving relationship in your life or experiencing a loving relationship in your life? These are all limiting beliefs that do not exist in the field of infinite possibilities. They exist in our minds because we're beings of choice and creativity, and we can create that wherever we want it. And we do get to choose from the banquet table. Has anybody discovered in adulthood that you like a food that you hated as a child? Peas. I can't tell you how many times, my sister's watching, she's going to laugh, how many times I sat at the dinner table because we couldn't leave till we cleaned our plate. Anybody else have that memory? But yeah, peas, didn't like them. And I would sit there for an hour not eating those peas because I like peas now. Funny story, we had a dining room table that had drawers in it, and we figured out that if we sat in certain places that we could slip that drawer out and put the peas in there and close the door. Mom, I'm finished. And we'd be cleaning later and she'd find the peas and just, oh my. So that's how it works. We have these beliefs that this is what's true. And we don't challenge them. I don't like peas. I'm not touching them. I didn't like them as a kid. I don't like them now. I'm not going to touch them. I feel that way about bananas, so I get it. But we have to question that. We have to continue to taste from the buffet of life to be sure that of our maturity, right? My palate matured to where I like peas. So what else is changing and maturing in our awareness, in our spiritual maturity, our spiritual growth? What might be possible in the field of finance for me? What might be possible in the world of love and relationships for me if I can get rid of those limiting beliefs? If I can break through my upper limit, what might be available to me on this banquet table of life? Where are the upper limits that you have established for yourself about what you can't receive? If you've spent years in a state of trying to get by, of not experiencing love or financial abundance, it can be challenging to transition from that to joy and happiness. We have to grow, don't we? We have to grow. Gay Hendricks, the author of the book I referenced, suggests that we focus on slow, steady, and consistent growth. Overnight success is usually less fulfilling, and not only because we didn't work as long to achieve something, but also because when you are unaccustomed to feeling happy and successful, being hit with a huge achievement will usually just make you aggressively resistant and depressed. Wow. Overnight success also doesn't allow us time to expand our consciousness, to grow the vessel of receptivity, does it? That's why sometimes when people win that lottery, they immediately go back to their previous state of financial wealth. They haven't grown the receptivity to have the consciousness to be a match to that good in their lives. What he's calling aggressively resistant and depressed, we might know as self-sabotage, where we receive something wonderful, it's going great, we're loving life, and then we say something stupid or we do something crazy, and we go right back to where we were before that good showed up in our lives. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, right? Yeah. We need to take it slow and unravel those threads of limiting beliefs every time we bump up against one. And we can do that through retraining our brains. And we know through science the neuroplasticity of our brains and how we can change our thoughts and change our thinking, right? We talked about some of that a couple of weeks ago. So we can reprogram our brains to accept success and joy as our new normal and safe place by expanding our consciousness, retraining our brains to think in a different way. We all sit at the banquet table of life in a field of infinite possibilities. We all do, right here, right now. We're surrounded by it. We're surrounded by it. And we get to choose what we're going to receive from that. We don't have to, and we probably couldn't if we wanted to, receive everything, right? That's another beauty in our individuality, is that we're all not going to want to receive everything. We get to pick and choose. It's in that picking and choosing that we have to be aware of what we have as a limitation on ourselves versus what is just simply a preference. What is simply a preference? And don't try to sidetrack it and go, oh, that's just a preference. No, I know that all men are this or all women are that, and that's just a preference. And really, really look at those limiting beliefs that we have. Look at your beliefs around your finances and how much is enough. Is it about enoughness or is it about lack, unworthiness? Really checking in on those beliefs and how we can expand and grow from that. Being sure that our wants are in alignment with our beliefs. One way of doing this, of course, is through affirmative prayer. You look at your prayers, look at what it is you're praying for, and then look at what's being reflected back to you in your life. What are you receiving? How are you living? If you're not seeing that prayer manifest, it's usually because you're not in alignment in some way with your beliefs, and that's where we get to do our work. We just completed our Journey of the Soul class. It was a wonderful class. I think I had a good time. I think everybody else did. And in it, we had the experience of prayer partners for the entire 5 weeks of the class. And we were talking about the benefits of continuing with prayer partners and the impact that has on our lives. My current prayer partner and I have been together for 10 years, praying every week for 10 years. And we are either not in person, but on the phone. We've been in person too, on the phone or texting. What do you want prayer for? Just to make sure that we're keeping each other on the top of that prayer list every single week as we move through and experience life. I also know I can reach out at any time for what I call a 911. I'm having a breakdown. I need a prayer. And that she's there for me. And likewise, I'm there for her. So our prayer partners, our friends, our family, and practitioners can help us on this journey of unraveling these beliefs that we have that are limiting us and bringing our beliefs into alignment with our wants. If you don't have someone that you pray with every week or a regular basis, invite someone to pray with you. Invite someone to be a prayer partner to you. Even if they don't want to experience prayer, they will be willing to give you prayer. They don't necessarily need you to pray for them. That's another way of doing it, where they may have a prayer partner, but they'll do prayer for you. So look at that. If you don't have that support in your life now, it is incredibly powerful. And if you want to talk to any of the students that were in our Journey of the Soul class, I'm sure they'd be happy to share with you as well. So the next time you think, I can't, check in to see. Check in with yourself and see if you're arguing for your limitation or if it truly is a desire. If you are arguing for your limitations, pull that thread and begin to unravel that belief in the tapestry of your life. So let's take a look at practicing the principles and see how we might live in thanksgiving at this banquet table of life that sets before us. If you are not on the Mindful Monday mailing list, you can sign up today in the lobby, or you can send me an email and I'll put you on our list for that. It's a recap of today's message as well as the practicing the principles and things. And that comes out on Mondays to everybody. Number one is to retrain your brain. We talked about this again a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to look at a little different way of doing it this week. So there's lots of different ways to do these things. To give up a limiting belief, we have to unravel them, right? As they come up, and retraining our brain to change those beliefs and eliminate the upper limits. So this week, I invite you to set an intention to notice in your conversations with other people where they are speaking limitation, where they are killing their own dreams, expressing some desire that they have and then sabotaging it. Listen to that. Not in judgment of them. It's not an opportunity to be in judgment of them. Oh, I can't believe how they're doing that. Not an opportunity for that. It is an opportunity to begin to train your brain to hear it. Because when we can hear the words of another, we can then begin to hear our own words. Because a lot of times we're not sensitive to what we're saying ourselves. We're not hearing our own words. But when we're in conversation with someone, we're hearing them. And if we're attentive to, we have an intention to hear that limitation, we will. And then we can begin to practice on how we might be able to turn that around. And again, that practice on that other person is going to help us to begin to figure out how to do that for ourselves. We can use the power of polarity, thinking the opposite of what is being said, to transform our limitations into expectations. What are the things I've heard? The economy's headed for a recession. Oh boy. Does that strike a chord of fear? We're going to talk about how awful it is and how bad it was the last time we had it. Or do we look at that and we go, recessions are when prices usually go down and it's a good time to invest. I'm blessed to be financially free because I've been doing my work. And I can take advantage of that. I can take advantage of that opportunity. I'm prepared. How can we begin to think in a different way? That's really what retraining our brain is about. Number 2 is to become a receiving center. Ernest Holmes reminds us there's no reason we should ever stop accepting more and more good. Our consciousness should so enlarge that it cannot help gathering more and more, even though, with the other hand, we're sharing what we gather. The reason for having is that we may give to others, completing the cycle of circulation. So we're conduits of circulating that good, is what he's telling us. So use your imagination this week. I want to invite you to try this now. We'll try this one now. We'll practice, okay? Close your eyes. Use your imagination to see yourself seated at a large banquet table filled with all the good that you can imagine. Sort of like our Thanksgiving table we're going to have here this week. Filled with love and joy and harmony and peace and abundance and health and joy. Now imagine there is something there you don't care for. Maybe it's a vacation to Alaska and cold weather's not your thing. But you take it and you pass it to someone who's just dying to go to Alaska. Imagine how that feels. Imagine how you feel in circulating that good. Now imagine taking something that you really want. Imagine taking something you really, really want. How does it feel to have that? Open your eyes. Imagine having that every day this week. Live with it, be with it, immerse yourself in the experience of it. Expand your consciousness of receiving through this practice, through the power of your imagination. Number 3, be grateful. Be grateful. I'm going to repeat Melody Beattie's quote because it is, I think, the most powerful quote on gratitude that I have ever experienced. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Many of us began a 40-day gratitude practice on the 7th of November. And it will end on December 16th, which is our candlelight service. Now, if you weren't with us on the 7th, or if you haven't started your practice yet, I would invite you to pick up a free copy of the journal in the lobby. I got another box full. Another copy of the journal in the lobby. And start today. Start today with a gratitude practice. And the 40 days for you would end on December 30th, just in time for the new year, and ringing in the new year in gratitude and thanksgiving. This week, discover and break through your upper limits. Pause to see the awe and wonder around you. And take your seat at the banquet table of life. I want to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. He says, if we are to demonstrate the divine givingness as a principle in the universe, then we must be a receiving center. For no matter how abundantly the horn of plenty may pour its universal gifts, there must be a bowl of acceptance, a chalice of expectancy, or the gift cannot be complete. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. May you be abundantly blessed and have much for which to be grateful for this week.
Amen.
So it is. So would you join me as we anchor this in prayer this morning? I believe in God and nothing else, for there is nothing outside of the infinite power and presence of the divine, the infinite love, the infinite givingness. God is all. And as I immerse myself in that truth, I recognize that as the allness of everything, I am that. I am that which it is. I am created of it, of that same substance, that same essence, the presence, the creativity, the love, the wisdom, the intelligence. As I know this about myself, I know this about each and every one of us here today, those joining us online or later. For no matter where we may be, we are one in the unity and wholeness of this thing called life. There is no separation whatsoever. We are one. Now, how good it is to know this. How good it is to speak my truth from this awareness. as I recognize and just simply open to receive and to know that we are receiving centers of this abundant good, of the divine, of this banquet table set before us, of all of the good of life, and that we can choose, and that we can be in alignment with our desires and beliefs. And just simply know that when that happens, the law works automatically. It happens automatically through us in that moment of alignment. And I know as we break through any limits that we've set upon ourselves, that we're abundantly blessed in the receiving of that good, of the circulation of that good, of the sharing of that abundance. And so I know today, for anyone that has placed a prayer with us or has a prayer on their heart, as they lift that into their conscious awareness, we as community surround them now in this light of love that we are, lifting each one and accepting on their behalf the perfection of their prayer unfolding through them now, whether it is for health or career or finances or a relationship, spirituality, just the experience of the light, knowing that it shines brightly through their hearts from ours. And so it is with a grateful and thankful heart as we enter this Thanksgiving week that I know that we are abundantly blessed, that we have much to be grateful for as we share this time with family and friends, as we experience the love and the joy. And I'm grateful for the manifestation of this prayer. As I release it into the action of law, knowing that it's already done, that the word spoken is the word made manifest. And so I just release it, I let it go, I know that it is done. And we receive it by saying, and so it is.